Peace. This is your brother Seneb, and welcome to another MBK presentation. Me and the guy Rob Born are doing a collaboration bill. We're going to be discussing black militias, independent militias, and ultimately the U.S. colored troop units that operated during the Civil War. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about the Militia Act of 1862. The Militia Act of 1862 was enacted by the 37th United States Congress during the American Civil War that allowed African Americans to participate as war laborers and soldiers for the first time since the Militia Act of 1792. Statute 12 authorized the President of the United States to employ persons of African descent, and so much so in Section 13 it stipulates members of that person's family, that male member who was employed in war functions. It sets standards to where his wife and children can be freed because of his service. U.S. colored troops, a background. The United States colored troops was a designation given to approximately 175 regiments of non-white soldiers that served during the Civil War. By the end of the war, nearly a tenth of the entire Union Army consisted of a member of the United States colored troops, which peaked at 178,000 individuals. These regiments were the precursors for the now famous Buffalo Soldiers, who served throughout the West following the conclusion of the war. Independent black militia in Mexico. Ben Vincent III has argued and dates black militiamen to Mexico's defense system as early as the 1550s. The Free Color Militia, a group of Pardo, Moreno, and mulatto soldiers, served the Spanish monarchy in Mexico. In exchange for their military service to the colony, free colored militiamen could secure rights. In 1556, colonial authorities, albeit reluctantly, integrated free colored militiamen into their regular army as auxiliaries in Mexico, and free colored militiamen served throughout the Spanish Empire under similar circumstances in Havana in 1555, in Puerto Rico 2 years later, in Cartagena twice in 1560 and 1572, and in Santo Domingo in 1583. 17th century free colored militia companies could act with a significant degree of freedom. They controlled their own money, black officers led militia companies, and they attained legal rights conveyed to all the Spanish military personnel. An example of that is Francisco Menendez and St. Augustine, one of the first free black communities on this side of the planet. Georgia's late 19th century African Americans participated in the formation of two types of militia companies. Independent companies generally operated outside Georgia state government, while some seeking official state recognition, also an acknowledgement of black citizenship within both state and the nation. The independent company was more intimately involved in the black self-defense and political initiatives, as was an extension of the independent community that emerged during the antebellum era. Black men organized and joined antebellum independent militia companies to defend African descended communities and individuals against slavery. The post-war African American Independent Militia Company remained a political institution that would be utilized to defend black labor, rights, property, especially the right to acquire land. The independent post-war militia also functioned as a political organizer institution for unifying the black community for political action and mobilization. It would further be a part of the black effort to acquire economic and political autonomy. This would be the independent militia company's role in rural Georgia after the Civil War. The Black Georgia Independent Company during the late 1860s and into the 1870s appeared at times to be parallel institutions that may have cooperated with the politically focused union and loyalty leagues associated with the Republican Party that educated the black populace about political power and intended to counter white paramilitary groups. Independent and state-sponsored black militiamen engaged in contests for power with local whites, especially the planter class. over labor control and political autonomy across the South. These contests were especially evident in Georgia and Louisiana after the Civil War. Georgia's rural African Americans mobilized to act collectively to form local militias as on-the-ground counterweights to whites, independent companies, paramilitary forces, and anti-black violence. Black independent militia companies in Georgia and Louisiana were closely linked to electoral politics and functioned as a means of self-defense for African American voters.